he finds out that someone had robbed him. The thief took all the money and jewelry from the safe locker. Austin video calls 4 of his best friends and says, "Someone robbed my house yesterday. Do you have any suspects?" Mary says, "I'm sorry, but I can't believe it was one of the guests." Julie says, "I spent all evening downstairs. I didn't even come close to your parents' safe. So I didn't notice anything suspicious." Bob says, "No way. Every single guest at the party is pretty wealthy. Maybe it's the pizza guy." And Rick replies, "But Mary showed up with a stranger looking like a criminal. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's the thief." Can you guess who's the robber? Julie. Austin didn't mention the safe. How did she know? This pen is only half filled with ink. How many words can it write? Pens cannot write even a single word. It's the person holding the pen who can write the words. One of these customers is not from Earth. Can you spot who? This guy is eating toothpicks. What about this company? Who's not from Earth? This person, who uses a laptop as a mug holder. Bobby, Stella, and Chris are having a roller skating contest in the park, but one of them is cheating. Can you guess who? Chris, take a closer look at his feet. His roller skates are not so simple. Wendy is selling flowers. One sunflower costs $24. The price of one narcissus is $9. Can you calculate the price of one calla lily? The price for one calla lily would be $1.50. Each flower costs $1.50 per petal, and a calla lily only has one petal. George and Nancy are having dinner in a fancy restaurant. Can you spot 3 weird things here? The violinist is using an arrow. There's a toad in these flowers. And this waiter serves a bitten apple. Emma, Ted, and Peter are having a speed swimming competition. Can you spot who's cheating? It's Ted. Take a look at his neck. He has a small chip. Therefore, he must be a robot, and he can't compete with humans. Andy and his wife Nancy go to sleep early tonight. In the middle of the night, weird noises from the basement wake Andy up. His wife is gone. Andy looks around the house, but Nancy doesn't answer. Andy goes down to the basement. Suddenly, a creepy clown pops out of nowhere and tries to grab Andy. But Andy just laughs and says, "Stop fooling around. I know it's just a prank." How did he know? Take a look at the picture on the wall. Nancy and the clown are wearing identical sneakers. Bob visits this coffee shop every day because he's secretly in love with the local barista, Kelly. But today, he faced unpleasant news. Someone had replaced Kelly with her evil clone. How did Bob know? All Kelly's piercings and tattoos are gone, and no marks are left on the skin. Billy downloads a dating app to find his love. He finds 3 ladies and likes them equally. Elle is a travel blogger, vegan, and a huge fan of rom-coms. Ashley is a school teacher. She loves hiking and writes her own novels. Bella is a scientist. She's very busy at work. That's why she never has had a serious relationship. She's fond of ice cream and sunrises. Unfortunately, only one of these 3 profiles isn't fake. Can you help Billy ask the right lady out? There's a wedding picture on Bella's desk. Therefore, she's a liar. Elle says that she's a vegan, but she's eating a hot dog in this picture and a steak in this picture, so she's a liar too. So Billy should invite Ashley. Shelley runs an online shop. Although all her employees live in the same city, they only meet online. This morning, their Zoom call was interrupted by a stranger. Can you spot the impostor? It's this lady. All employees live in the same city, which means in the same time zone. But take a look out her window. It's a deep night. Dan is hiking in the woods during the last weekend of March every year, but this time he gets lost. Dan wanders around and finds this sign. He should choose one of the 3 routes to get out of the forest. The first route leads through a village of mutants. They hate people and no one has ever managed to escape from them. The second route is across a very old suspension bridge located under a river full of toads and worms. The third route leads through the habitat of a large family of bears. Which way is more or less safe? It's spring now, so the bears are awake and probably very hungry. Also, it will be difficult for Dan to deal with the mutants all alone, so Dan should take the second route. Even if he falls into the river, nothing bad will happen. Toads and worms don't bite. Rosie is baking a delicious chocolate cake in the kitchen. It's a gift for her boyfriend. When it's ready, she puts the cake in the fridge and goes upstairs to take a shower. In a while, Rosie returns to find out that someone had cut the cake and eaten a few pieces. Rosie questions 3 of her roommates. Samantha says, "How dare you? I'm on a sugar-free diet." Pam says, "I haven't been in the kitchen today. I'm too busy with my studies." And Harry says, "I opened the fridge 2 minutes ago and the cake was full." Who ate the missing pieces? Nobody. The roommates pranked Rosie. The spoiled chocolate cake isn't Rosie's cake. Take a closer look. It has a different decoration. And her cake is still in the fridge, in this box on another shelf. Tom is having a job interview. The HR manager likes his resume and asks him one final question to check his logical thinking. These toothpicks indicate a group of fishes moving from west to east. Can you make them move in the opposite direction by moving just 3 toothpicks? Here's the solution. Victor is riding a bicycle in the park. Suddenly, someone throws a spray can of blue paint at his head. Victor loses balance and falls. He finds 3 suspects and interrogates them. Alex says, "I was just sitting on the bench and reading a book." Barbie says, "I was skating and didn't see any paint cans." And Ashley says, "I was painting graffiti, but soon I noticed that someone had stolen my blue paint." Who threw the paint at Victor? Ashley has paint on her hands, and that's okay because she's making street art. Alex has stains on his t-shirt, but it's just a design. And why would Barbie have blue stains on her hands if she didn't see any paint? Anna is waiting for her boyfriend Stan in a restaurant. He shows up with a box of donuts and goes straight to Anna. Suddenly, he slips on the wet floor. What is Stan trying to say? The donuts say, "Marry me?" Stan is proposing to Anna. Fred sits down at a barber shop. The hairdresser says, "You must be a visitor here. I love to cut strangers. It's better to serve 2 strangers than 1 local." Fred asks why. Can you guess the hairdresser's reply? Serving 2 is always more profitable than 1. I have hundreds of legs, but I can only lean. Make me feel dirty so you feel clean. What am I? I'm a broom. The CIA arrives at Chris's house this morning. They suspect that he's a criminal. He sells stolen art to other criminals via Instagram, but Chris denies everything. Having searched the apartment, the agents find his phone. There are 3 suspicious people among his followers. Can you spot the criminal? It's this guy. His nickname literally says top secret.
Okay, listen to me very carefully, my friend. Here's the deal. First, to steal the diamond, you need to get to a remote island. It doesn't exist on any map, and it's forbidden for ordinary people to be there. The diamond is in the heart of this place, inside a well-guarded deep underground bunker. It's impossible to get there through the main entrance. But lucky you, there's also a secret jail on the island. You can get there as a prisoner and then escape through the underground tunnel. That tunnel will lead you into the bunker. Then you should find the diamond. You'll have very little time for the whole operation. When you're done, a boat will be waiting for you in the southern part of the island. Do everything correctly and follow the plan, and then you'll encounter no problems. Got it? Alright, let's go. You and other prisoners get into a helicopter and fly to the island. You're handcuffed. At one moment, the helicopter begins to shake. The pilot says you're falling. He puts on a parachute and jumps out of the helicopter. Take a look around and decide what to do next. Faster! You see the keys to your handcuffs hanging near the cabin. Then you get rid of the handcuffs. The prisoners ask you to release them too. But be careful, these people are dangerous. All 3 of them say they know how to fly a helicopter. Who will you believe? That guy with a tattoo with a helicopter on his leg. Maybe he's a good pilot. You remove his handcuffs and he admits he has lied. None of these people knows how to fly a helicopter. There's only one parachute left. The prisoner pushes you to the side, grabs the parachute, and jumps out of the falling helicopter. You decide to release the other prisoners too. What will you do next? Jump without a parachute? Try to land the helicopter on your own? The helicopter's pilot abandoned the vehicle because the landing was impossible. So you will not succeed either. You need to jump. You have been flying over the ocean, remember? Also, the helicopter is falling, so the height isn't that great. You jump into the water and swim toward the shore. Suddenly, you notice a shark's fin. It's quickly approaching you. What are you going to do? A. Try to swim to the shore as fast as possible. B. Don't swim anywhere and just float in the water. C. Dive and start waving your hands to scare the shark away. You need to stop. If you start swimming away, the shark will begin chasing you. Breathe in a lot of air and try not to make unnecessary movements. The shark will leave soon. But if it attacks, you'll have to attack back. Its gills and eyes are the animal's weak spots. Fortunately, the shark doesn't charge at you. It swims away, and you get to the shore safely. The island's guards are running out of the jungle. One of the prisoners who was with you in the helicopter is hiding in the bushes and invites you to join him. Where will you go? Let the guards catch you and take you to jail. Don't forget about your mission. They dress you in a yellow shirt and lead you away. You see many dangerous people. You're sitting at the table having lunch. There are 3 prisoners in front of you. One of them is going to escape. But who? That man with a book. A metal file serves him as a bookmark. Today, he will also try to escape. The underground tunnel leading from the prison to the bunker is located under the laundry room. You need to get out of your cell and get there. To do this, you have to get the metal file and pick the lock. Everyone goes out into the courtyard for a walk. You're following the man with the book. He sits down on the bench and hides the book under the seat. You need to distract him and get your hands on the book. You can use a basketball, dumbbells, or playing cards. What will you do? You can offer to work out with the dumbbells or play cards, but it will be difficult for you to get out of his sight. Start playing basketball. Throw the ball far away. The prisoner will run after it. Meanwhile, you'll take the book. So you grab the book but find no file inside. Instead of this, you find some money. It seems this guy has sold the tool to one of the other prisoners. You put the money in your pocket and look around the yard. Which of the prisoners can have the metal file? That guy is pressing his fingers to the sleeve of his shirt. Apparently, he's hiding the tool there. You're about to approach him, but one of the prisoners starts a fight. The guards are trying to prevent a riot. In all this chaos, someone hits you on the head and you lose consciousness. You wake up in a hospital ward. Oh no! You have almost no time left. The doors are locked. Several security guards are walking around. How can you get into the laundry room? In the corner, there's a huge cart with dirty laundry. Hide in there, and they'll take you to where you need to go. You hide among the dirty sheets. The cleaner takes the cart and transports you to the laundry room. He throws the linen into the washing machine and notices you. The cleaner is going to scream and call the guards. What will you do? You have some money, remember? You can pay for his silence. You move one of the washing machines and find a hatch under it. You climb inside and walk through the tunnel. It's very cold, wet, and dark here. Finally, you reach a small room. There are no windows and doors, only brick walls. What will you do? You can't go back. Among all these bricks, there's one sticking out of the wall. Try to push it. It worked. A secret door opens, and you step inside. You go down and find yourself in front of another iron door. You notice an oxygen tank with a mask lying nearby. You open the door and find yourself in an airlock room between two iron doors. One of the doors closes behind you. All the oxygen gets pumped out. You can't breathe, so you put on the mask. The second iron door opens, and you go inside. You see 3 tunnels. The first tunnel is filled with moving axes, blades, and other traps. High-voltage electric discharges flicker in the second tunnel. The third tunnel is burning with a bright flame. One of the threats is an illusion. Which tunnel will you choose? There's no air in the room, which means fire can't burn here. The flame is a hologram. You move on and find yourself in front of a dark room. It's so dark you can't see what's inside. It seems to you that the diamond is there. Stop. What is this diamond? Who gave you this mission? What are you doing here? What's happening? At this moment, some unknown force pushes you forward. You step into the black void and fall. You find yourself floating in outer space. It's so cold and scary here. You feel tiny in the boundless universe. Suddenly, you see something shining. Is it a star or an asteroid? A bright light illuminates the black space around you. Good job, a heavy voice says. You reach out your hand and touch the light. At this moment, at a great speed, you start flying back through space and time. You're falling fast and land in a dirty room. Frightened, you get up and open the door. Oh, yes, sunlight. You finally get out of the bunker and find yourself on the island. There are 2 paths in front of you. One leads to the south, the other to the north. Which one will you choose? The boat is supposed to be waiting for you in the south, remember? You go through the jungle and find an old car. You start the engine and grab an MP3 player with headphones from the glove compartment. You drive along the road listening to music when you realize the brakes don't work. There are 3 ways ahead. A brick wall is waiting for you at the end of the first road. The second one leads to a swamp, and the third leads to a high hill with a cliff. Where are you going to drive? There's almost no time. Release the gas pedal and drive up the hill. The car will start slowing down, and soon you'll be able to get out of it.
It turns out that before leaving, your detective friend gave your contacts to all his acquaintances. And now, one of them needs your help. You arrive at his jewelry store. A client came there several hours ago, planning to buy an expensive diamond ring for his wife. But someone stole his wallet right in the store. The manager, he was the one to call you, asked all the visitors who were inside at that time to stay until your arrival. You look at all these people attentively. Soon you know who took the wallet. It's the man in the middle. He has a bandage on his right arm, but it's wrapped over the sleeve of his jacket, not hidden under it, like a real bandage would be. You knock on a sturdy brown door, while a woman with a bandage on her head stands next to you. A man opens the door. "Excuse me," you say. "A pot plant fell out of your window an hour ago and hit this woman on her head. I had to take her to the hospital. She's okay now, but you need to compensate this woman for the damage. May we come in?" The man turns pale, but lets you in. "It can't be true. Our windows were closed because we've just returned home. I literally entered my apartment 2 minutes before you came." You realize this man is lying and call the police. How did you figure it out? You spotted a pan with boiling water in the kitchen. If the man had indeed come home just a few minutes ago, the water wouldn't have had enough time to start boiling. Now, it's your friend who needs help. She owns a grocery store. A gust of wind blew a $100 bill out of her hands, and the money seems to have vanished into thin air. Your friend thinks it was one of the customers who took the bill, but no one wants to admit stealing the money. You ask all visitors to go to your friend's office when a woman speaks up. "It's incredible to be accused of theft. Here, you can check my bags right now." "Please, just come with me to the office. We'll figure it out there," you say. After the woman refuses to follow you, you call the police. Why? The woman is standing on the $100 bill. If she follows you, everyone will see the money. The next morning, rainy and gloomy, you get your next case. To investigate it, you need to visit the office of a large international company. Rebecca, the girl who called you, works there. She says, "I've just come back from brunch and discovered that someone had knocked our HR manager out just an hour ago." You question the people who were in the office at that time. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. He made her wait well past her appointment time. "And still," the girl says, "I would never hit another person. I'm also too weak to do it." Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was in a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob from Research and Development tells you he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. You immediately realize who hit the HR manager. It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining outside? You leave Rebecca's office and hear your phone beeping. You see a text with an address you don't know. You drive there. A man meets you at the door of a large building. He's shaking. When you enter a large dark hall, you see 2 containers filled with transparent liquid. 2 women are floating inside. They look identical. "One of them is my wife, but I can't figure out which one, and I'm allowed to open only one container." You walk around the women and examine them. Then you point at one of them. "That's your wife. How did you figure it out?" The man's name is Mark. It's written on his biker jacket. His wife is the woman with the letter M tattooed on her arm. Your phone beeps again. You look at it and see a message. It's from your detective friend. There's just one word on the screen. Help! But that's already another story.
Dustin is a widowed man living alone in his house. One day, the doorbell rang. Dustin went up to open his door, and right there she was, his wife. How's it possible? I hope you kept your eyes wide open for this one. Look, there's a photo of Dustin and his wife on the wall. His wife has a birthmark on her cheek. The woman that just appeared doesn't have it, so it must be Dustin's wife's twin sister. Dylan was grounded, and he wasn't allowed to meet even his girlfriend for a week. One evening, when Dylan's mom returned home from work, she found Dylan in his room and asked him if he'd met anyone that day. Dylan said that he'd been at home, studying all day. His mom didn't believe him. Why? Look, there's a lipstick stain on his neck. I'm pretty sure his girlfriend came over for a short visit. Another grounded teenager, Eslyn, wasn't allowed to see any of her friends for 2 weeks after failing her history test. One night, her mother had a night shift and only returned home next afternoon. She came to check on her daughter, and she knew immediately that Eslyn had a friend over for a sleepover. How did she figure it out? Examine Eslyn's room carefully. 2 plates, 2 cups, 2 forks. She wasn't the only one eating dinner in her room last night, and she wasn't smart enough to clean up after. Smells like 2 more weeks to me. Miss Virginia Dell is a rich young lady who had a beautiful and expensive jewelry collection behind a glass in her dressing room. One morning, she found that someone broke the glass and stole her jewelry. Miss Dell's cleaning lady claimed that she had cleaned the room at around 5 a.m. and the jewelry was still there. Virginia's best friend, who was staying in her house that week, said that she had never even walked in the dressing room. Virginia's cousin, who was also staying with her for the holiday, said that she'd walked in the dressing room in the morning, but hadn't paid any attention to the jewelry, and for sure hadn't stolen anything. Who is the liar? It's the cleaning lady. Seems like right after she broke the glass and stole the jewelry, she wiped off the pieces of glass while cleaning as well, because there's no shattered glass on the floor. Okay, here's another task for you to test your observation skills. I'll show you 2 people and some items. Your task is to guess which person the item belongs to. Let's start off easy. What about this stethoscope? Well, it should definitely belong to this doctor on the right. 2 more people. Any guesses who the owner of this bracelet is? The bracelet has a name engraved on it, Sophia. This girl on the left has a name tag with the same name, so it must be her bracelet. Next up, this lipstick. There are 2 girls who are possible owners, but what's your best guess? Who does it belong to? It must be this girl. Both of them are wearing lipstick, but this girl has the exact same shade as the lipstick itself. Earring and 2 girls again to choose from. Any guesses? It must be this girl. Her ears are pierced, and the other girls aren't. The next item is the hairdryer. Who do you think it belongs to? It must be this girl's dryer. She has long hair, and the other guy is bald. Okay, this one is more fun. The next one we have to place is this cute little cat. Who do you think is its owner? See that this girl's legs are a bit scratched? They give her away completely. It's her cat. One last item for you to place. This time it's a photograph of the owner in her teenage years with her parents. Who do you think it belongs to? The teen in the photo is a redhead with green eyes. There's just one redhead girl with green eyes, and here she is. It must be her photo. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She came across a witch's house and asked her to take her home. 5 doors appeared. Only one of them will take you home, and you only have one chance. The right door is black. It's not next to the leftmost or the rightmost door. It's not the door in the middle either. Which door should Esme choose? There are just 3 black doors, and it's one of them. It's not the door next to the leftmost or the rightmost one, so the 4th door is eliminated. It's not the middle door, so it's out too. Esme should walk out the door on the left. Eiko woke up in a dark dungeon without remembering what happened. She looked around and saw a metal door. Unfortunately, it was locked, and it required not just 1 password, but 4. Eiko had only 1 attempt to make it right. Gladly, next to the door, there was a sign with 4 words: apple, bread, chair, and dress. Which word belongs here? Pay attention to the shapes of each password. Some letters are bigger than others, and each word should fit right in. So it should be bread on the top left, apple on the top right, dress on the bottom left, and chair on the bottom right. In a factory, a worker and a half make a chair and a half in 1 hour and a half. How many chairs does one worker make in 1 working day, which is 6 hours? If 1.5 workers make 1.5 chairs in 1.5 hours, it means that one worker makes 1 chair in the same time, which is 1.5 hours. So in a 6-hour working day, one worker makes 4 chairs. It was a lazy day, but as soon as it started raining, a city's police officer got a call. Mr. Jones said that someone had just bumped into his car and drove away. The officer arrived. They found one person nearby fixing his car's tire. Mr. Jones said that it was the gentleman who had bumped into his car. The gentleman said that it couldn't be true, since he had been trying to fix his car for over an hour now, and was there the whole time. Who is lying? It's the guy fixing his car. The rain just recently started. If he'd been fixing his car the whole time, the ground underneath his car would be dry. But it's wet, which means his car broke down just recently, probably when he was driving away after the accident. A crew of pirates arrived at a deserted island in the Caribbean at night. In the early morning, the captain went ashore to find his secret stash with all the treasures hidden in it. But when he reached it, the treasures weren't there. Someone from his crew had gone ashore earlier and stolen all of it. There were 3 suspects: Bill, first mate, Gil, bosun, and Will, cook. All of them denied stealing anything, but the captain knew who was lying. Who? There are footprints on the shore from earlier that don't belong to the captain. One is a footprint, but the other one is a hole from a stick. The robber must be Gil, the bosun, because he is the only one with a wooden leg. Let's start with training your eyes a bit. Can you find an odd one out here? Yes, that's the one. Another one for you. Look carefully, and you only have several seconds to find the impostor. That's the one! Correct! Now the game is getting a bit harder, but I know you've got it. What do you say? Here it is. Did you find it? Okay, last one of these, the hardest one. Do you see the odd one out this time? There it is! Great job!
Paul is a photojournalist for a local newspaper. It's his day off and he's hanging out at a party. Suddenly, a famous actress, Heather, enters the dance floor. Paul takes only one picture of her before his phone runs out of power. The next day, Paul shows this picture to his boss and gets a huge bonus. Can you guess why this picture is so exclusive? Heather is stealing money from this lady's pocket. Paul is looking at the office open space from the second floor. Suddenly, he spots a time traveler among his coworkers. Can you see this person too? This guy's outfit is too old-fashioned. Paul leaves his workplace to get some fresh air and eat. In a while, he returns and finds his boss unconscious on the floor. Paul calls doctors and questions 3 coworkers standing nearby. Rachel says, "I entered his office 10 minutes ago to discuss my ideas, but he said he's been too busy and asked me to leave." Stan says, "I don't know what happened here because it was my lunch break time. I was eating my hot dog outdoors." And Lily says, "I think I saw some suspicious man in a black outfit entering his office." Can you guess who's lying? Stan. He has an unpacked hot dog on his desk, so he was definitely doing something else during his lunch break. Paul arrives downtown to take some pictures. He's looking out the window of one of the buildings and sees this horrible scene. Why is he doing it? Do you have any ideas? This lady is a magician, so it's just a staging. Finally, Paul enters a spooky building where he's supposed to photograph. Suddenly, someone locks the door, and now Paul is trapped inside. He wanders around for a while and finds these 4 doors. A creepy voice announces, "Only door number 5 is the escape door. As for the other 3 doors, dangerous monsters are waiting behind them to eat anyone who dares to enter." Can you help Paul choose the right way? He should choose the first door. The symbols on the doors are actually numbers. Paul enters the exam room and sees 2 more doors with spirals. The voice says, "You should choose the spiral which consists of 2 separate parts. The other door hides a magical portal leading to a black hole." Can you help Paul pick the right door? It's the second one. Paul opens the door and finds himself in a suspicious hall. He sees a metal door with a combination lock, but it's locked and requires a 6-number code. What would you suggest? The correct code is 375419. There's a hint hanging on the wall. Paul should literally enter 3 7s, 5 4s, and 1 9. In the next room, Paul meets a mad scientist, the one who had imprisoned him. He says, "I'm gonna set you free if you crack my last riddle, so listen carefully. I have a head and a tail that will never meet. Having too many of me is always a treat. What am I?" The correct answer is a coin. The scientist says, "Okay, you can go now. There are 3 doors for you to choose from.
Unfortunately, each door is hiding some danger. There's a tank with a hungry shark behind the first door, and there's a bunch of balloons filled with toxic gas behind the second door, and there's a giant cobra waiting behind the third door.
Can you help Paul choose the safest option to escape? Paul should choose the second door. Toxic gas is inside the balloons, so if he passes by carefully without popping them, he'll escape safely.
Yeah.
Paul returns to his neighborhood. He's walking down the street and sees a tree with a bunch of birds. Can you spot an antisocial owl among them? This owl is looking away from the rest of the group. There are 2 houses with 2 single women living next to Paul. One of them used to live in poverty all her life, but today she robbed a bank. Can you spot this woman? The first lady is the robber. She spent unnecessary money on food, which is far more than one person needs. Paul is having a family meeting. He asks 2 of his sisters to sell an equal amount of homemade cookies. The cost of each cookie is $1. Paul tells them, "You shouldn't eat the cookies that you're selling, and you should sell all the cookies." At the end of the day, all cookies are sold, yet neither sister gained nor lost $1. How is this possible? The first sister bought a cookie from the other one, and the second sister bought a cookie from the first one, and so on. In the evening, Paul is having a family dinner, but one of the guests is an impostor.
Oh.
Can you guess who? This gentleman is a ghost. He's levitating in the air. The next day, Paul arrives at his workplace and sees his coworker standing near this mirror. Lily says, "It's rumored that anyone who stood up in front of that mirror at 4:44 ended up disappearing forever." The guys decide to debunk that myth. Lily approaches the mirror at 4:44, but nothing happens. They laugh at the rumor and get back to business. After work, everyone goes home, but Lily stays for a little longer to finish her work. After doing that, she walks up to the mirror and disappears. The clock says 7:16. Why did it happen at the wrong time? The rumor was about the mirror time. 7:16 is the mirror image of 4:44. Paul wants to rescue Lily, so he goes to the most famous wicked witch in his town. The witch says,
"Okay, young man, I can get your friend out of the looking glass if you help me in the kitchen. Which one of these 7 potion pots will get full first?"
"Do you have any ideas?" Outlets to the first and fifth pots are blocked at the initial point, so they won't fill. Nothing is connected to the sixth pot. The outlet under the second pot is also blocked in the end. Outlets to pots 3, 4, and 7 are blocked in the middle, so they won't fill. Therefore, no pot will ever fill. The witch is satisfied with Paul's answer. She shows him 4 doors and says,
"Your friend is behind one of these doors. You only have one chance to pick the right one. Good luck!"
"Can you help Paul find Lily?" There are flower symbols on each door. Paul should pick the door with a lily. Yes! Paul rescues Lily, and the witch offers him to fulfill one wish. Paul goes home to ask advice from his family. His blind father wants to restore his sight. His sister wants a puppy, and his mother wants to be super rich. Paul makes a wish, and all 3 people get what they want. What was Paul's wish? Here's what Paul told the witch. My father wants to see our puppy digging in a pile of gold coins. Paul arrives at a luxury boat club to make a report. 4 millionaires are talking about their boats. There are a total of 8 boats, 2 in each color: red, green, blue, and yellow. Each millionaire owns 2 boats, but no millionaire has 2 boats of the same color. Alex doesn't have a yellow boat, Bob doesn't have a red boat, but he does have a green one. One of the millionaires has a yellow boat and a blue boat, and another millionaire has a green boat and a blue boat. Charles has a yellow boat. David has a blue boat, but he doesn't have a green one. Can you guess the colors of boats owned by each millionaire? Alex has a red and a green boat. Bob has 1 green boat and 1 blue boat. Charles has a yellow boat and a red one. And David has 1 blue and 1 yellow boat. Inoni lives on a farm where she has horses, rabbits, and chickens. Here's what she says about her horses.
All of my horses except for 2 are black. Also, all of them except for 2 are brown. And all of them except for 2 are white.
How many horses does Inoni have? And what color are they? She has just 3 horses, 1 black, 1 brown, and 1 white. There was a diversity week at school, and one of the students was robbed. Detective Callum interrogated 3 main suspects. Eliza said she'd been working in the cafeteria the whole time. Asher pointed at one of the flags and said he'd been fixing it since it had been hanging upside down. Naya said that the student who had been robbed was her best friend, so she never would have done that. Who's guilty? Asher. The flag that was supposed to be hanging upside down is actually symmetrical. On a rainy day in the summer, a house in a small neighborhood was robbed while the owners were away. The police came to interrogate 4 neighbors. Everyone said that it had been raining. They'd been at home all day, eating and watching movies. Take a look at the houses. Who is lying? Reed is lying. Look, the ground under his car is wet, which means he arrived after it had started raining. So, he did leave his house. Miss Virginia Dell was a rich gentleman's daughter. She was staying at her hotel room when a security guard called her. He told her to run away since the criminal was going up to her room. Miss Dell ran to the elevators, but in each of them, there was a man. Which elevator is safe for her to use? The criminal obviously came from the first floor, and since this man is going down, it must be safe to go with him.
Really?
Dakota woke up in a dungeon. She couldn't remember what had happened. After wandering around for a while, she found out it was a vampire's castle guarded by the creature himself. Also, she found 3 chests. One of them was full of gold coins. Another was filled with silver coins. And the 3rd chest was full of diamonds. Dakota could take any chest with her, but she wouldn't be able to get past the vampire anyways. What should the girl do? Dakota should take the chest with silver coins. Vampires are afraid of silver, so she'll be able to walk past him. Amelia is participating in a game show, and here is her last task. If she completes it, she'll win. She has cubes with these numbers. She should use 3 of them so that the sum total is equal to 30. Which ones should Amelia use? She should turn the cube with 9 over to get 6, and then use it along with 11 and 13. Sienna must leave the house in exactly 9 minutes. The power is off and her cell phone battery is flat. Sienna has 2 hourglasses. One measures 7 minutes and the other measures 4 minutes. How can she use them to measure exactly 9 minutes? Sienna should start both hourglasses at the same time. When the 4-minute hourglass runs out, she should start it again. 4 minutes will pass. When the 7 minutes hourglass runs out a bit later, she should start it again. It'll be 7 minutes. The 4-minute hourglass will run for 1 more minute together with the 7-minute one. When it runs out of sand, it'll be 8 minutes. Sienna should then flip over the 7-minute hourglass. It'll have sand in its top part for exactly 1 minute. Now, I'll be showing you some images, and your task is to find out what's wrong with them. Ready? Here's the first one. What do you think? This car has no steering wheel. Easy. What about this picture? Can you notice anything odd about it? The reflection in the mirror is different from reality. What about this picture? What's really off here? These people are playing soccer, but they're playing it with a basketball. What about this picture? Do you see any mistakes here? People are in open space, but they're not wearing spacesuits. They wouldn't be able to breathe without them. Some people went on a hot air balloon trip. Can you see what's wrong here? This is definitely not a hot air balloon. Take a very close look at this picture and try to find a mistake. Can you see it? Look, the door hinges are on the wrong side of the door. Look, it's very pretty, but something is off. Can you figure out what? Pay attention to the rainbow. The color arrangement is incorrect. What about this winter paradise? Do you see anything that doesn't belong here? The butterflies. There's no butterflies in the winter. Next one. This cool space picture. Do you see what's wrong with it? The astronauts are wearing spacesuits, and they're on the surface of the moon. But look, there's another moon in the sky. It's not possible, and they should observe Earth instead. Can you notice any inconsistencies here? The label on the carton says that it's almond milk, but then why is a cow pictured on it too?
Now Tyler runs an amusement park. He's having a job interview with these 3 clowns, but only one of them is not dangerous. Can you help Tyler hire the right person? The first clown doesn't cast a shadow, so he's probably a ghost. And the third clown is stealing money from the second clown's pocket, so he's a thief. Therefore, Tyler should hire the second clown. Peter and Holly are having their first date in the amusement park. They decide to ride the Tunnel of Love. At some point, it gets pretty dark inside the tunnel, and after the ride, Peter finds out that his wallet is gone. Tyler calls the police and questions 3 customers from nearby swan boats. Bella says, "I'm sorry, I filmed a video on my phone. I didn't look around." Tim says, "No way, bro, my wallet is gone too." And Lisa replies, "In the dark, I felt someone touching my bag. I pushed the attacker away." Can you spot the thief? It's Holly. Take a look at her bag. There are 2 wallets inside it, and here's one more in her pocket. Tyler receives a curious delivery. It has streets, but no pavement. It has cities, but no buildings. It has forests, but no trees. Also, it has rivers, yet no water. Can you guess what it is? It's a map. There are 3 bakeries in the park. Wendy has exactly $100 and she needs to buy 100 cupcakes. She must spend the money entirely. Also, Wendy must buy at least 1 cupcake from each bakery. The first shop is selling each cupcake at 5 cents. The second one is selling them at $1, and the third at $5. How many cupcakes should Wendy buy from each bakery? To fit the budget, Wendy should buy 80 cupcakes from the first shop, 1 cupcake from the second shop, and 19 cupcakes from the third shop. Brian decides to take a ride on the Ferris wheel. On his way up, someone suddenly throws ice cream right in his face. When the trip is over, he interviews 3 suspects. Zoe says, "I don't eat ice cream. I'm on a sugar-free diet." Peter says, "I didn't see anything, bro. I'm terrified of heights, so I kept my eyes closed the whole ride." And Fred says, "Sorry, I was streaming a video, so I didn't look around." Who is lying? Peter. If he's terribly afraid of heights, why would he ride the Ferris wheel? Brian is wandering around the park. Suddenly, someone approaches him from the back and grabs his phone. The thief is wearing a mask, so Brian can't see his face. The thief runs into a cafe and hides among the customers. Can you help Brian spot the criminal? It's this woman. She's hiding Brian's wallet in the menu. Tyler is walking down the street after a long workday. Suddenly, he pushes this lady. Can you guess why? Tyler saved her from getting hit by a car. Tyler keeps on walking and sees a group of ducks crossing the road. Can you count the exact number of ducks? $16. Tyler enters a jewelry shop where his girlfriend Mary works as a saleswoman. Unfortunately, he finds her unconscious on the floor. He calls doctors immediately. They figure out that Mary was poisoned. Tyler questions 3 witnesses. The cleaning lady says, "I was cleaning silver jewelry in the storage room." The guard said, "I was having a lunch break outdoors and talking with my friend." And the boss says, "I had a business meeting in another part of the city." Can you help Tyler figure out who poisoned Mary? Take a look at the hint that Mary left on the wall. It literally says that the boss did it. A few days later, Mary gets better and decides to prank Tyler. She brings 3 similar boxes to his house. There are 2 delicious cheesecakes in 2 boxes, and the remaining box contains dog food. Let's spin the boxes back and forth. Can you find the pranked box now? Aha! The second one. Tyler gets an urgent call from his assistant. Someone painted graffiti at a vegan restaurant in his park. Tyler interrogates 3 employees. The cleaner says, "I had an urgent call from my mother, so I went outside the restaurant to the backyard. When I returned, the graffiti was already there." The waitress says, "I was taking an order. Suddenly, I looked out the window and saw a person in a black hoodie. He dropped a paint can and ran away." And the cook says, "I was wearing my earphones and frying chicken wings in the kitchen. so I didn't notice anything suspicious. Who's lying? The cook. It's a vegan restaurant. Why would he fry chicken wings? After getting exposed, the cook pushes Tyler away and escapes from the restaurant. Tyler follows him. The cook hides in a carnival tent. He puts on a costume to blend in with the crowd. Can you help Tyler find him? There he is. It was raining heavily outside, so his shoes got wet. Tyler is walking around the park and spots 4 weird details. Can you see them too? This teddy bear has 3 ears. There's no July 34th. There's pink ice cream inside the chocolate ice cream box. And this old lady is carrying a crocodile in a stroller. There are 3 fortune tellers working in the amusement park: Zelda, Salma, and Freya. One of them is an impostor. Can you decide who? Salma has an earphone in her ear, which probably means that someone is helping her when she tells fate. Later that night, Tyler finds Zelda lying unconscious at her workplace. There's a weird note in her hand. Tyler calls the doctors and the police. He also finds out that Zelda had only 5 customers that night: Alex, Rick, Emma, Rose, and Zoe. Can you figure out who's guilty? Rose. There's a tricky hint hidden in this note. Q plus 1 is R, N plus 1 is O, R plus 1 is S, and D plus 1 is E. Tyler spends all morning in his office. Then he leaves it for a couple of hours to have lunch with Mary. When Tyler gets back, he finds out that someone had robbed him. How? These 6 items are missing. Tyler is checking out these clowns' makeup before their performance. Can you spot the odd one out? It's this guy. He's the only one who has eyebrows. What about these houses? Can you find the odd one out? Yup, it's this one. Tyler receives 4 new tents. Unfortunately, one of them has a slightly different design. Can you spot which one? The second tent doesn't belong here. Tyler wants to improve the scary tunnel, so he gathers all actors playing ghosts and monsters for a brief team building. But there are real monsters and ghosts among Tyler's employees. Can you spot them? This guy is too transparent for a human. He's a ghost. And huge claws cut through this guy's sneakers, so he's probably a werewolf. Tyler wins a cute teddy bear for Mary. They get distracted for a second and then see that the toy is gone. They look around and find 3 suspects. Can you guess who is a thief? Although this lady is holding a similar teddy bear, it still has a different bow. This guy is carrying a box, and judging by his posture, it's hard for him to carry it, so it's probably really filled with heavy stuff. And the third guy's guitar is outside the bag. which means he can be hiding the teddy bear inside the guitar case. Tyler throws an epic party at the amusement park. All guests are treated to free food and drinks. In the middle of the party, all the guests begin to fall asleep right on the dance floor. The next day, doctors check all the food and drinks from the party, and everything is perfectly fine. Can you guess what happened here? These balloons were filled with sleeping gas. In the middle of the party, they burst and made the guests fall asleep.
Look at this image. What is wrong here? Fire trucks are usually red, not green. Great job! Now, how about this picture? There are no butterflies in the winter. And one more image for you. Look at these people. Do you notice anything strange? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they are using a tiny football. Two people were born at the same moment, but they don't celebrate their birthdays on the same day. How is it possible? They were born in different time zones, and in one of these zones, it was already the next day. Captain Jack was an infamous and feared pirate who had robbed thousands of ships with the help of a small trick. It allowed him to approach any ship from any country easily and get close enough to grapple it without any problems. What was this trick? Captain Jack had a collection of flags from different countries. Instead of using Jolly Roger, fearsome black flag, he raised the flag of the country the nearing ship was from, and it got him immediate access. A man was in a 9-story building when a fire started. He jumped out of the window, and he didn't get any injuries. How is it possible? The man was on the first floor when he jumped out of the window. Look at these people. One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. Now this looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with the USB port in his arm. At this party, there is a person who came from a different epoch. Your task is to find them. It's this person wearing a chainmail armor. Poor thing, he must be sweating under all this metal. Mark got locked in a basement. There were no windows, only a door with a letter combination lock. What could probably give him some hint was a note he found in the corner. What is the code word? Mark managed to get out of the basement. The code word was SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. P plus 3 letters is S, N minus 1 letter is M, and so on. Lisa woke up in the morning and found out that quite a large sum of money was missing from her purse. Her husband was on a business trip, so the person who had taken the money could only be one of her 3 kids. Her daughter Karen, who was 17, her 15-year-old son Christopher, or her 20-year-old son David. Lisa asked her children what they had been doing the previous evening. Karen said that she had gone to bed right after dinner because she had had a headache. Christopher said that he had gone to a nightclub with his best friend Rick. And David answered that he had had his football practice. Lisa immediately knew who had taken the money. What about you? Christopher is lying. He is only 15, so he couldn't get into the club. Melanie invited her colleague Maria for dinner. Maria was surprised. She thought Melanie didn't like her, but the hostess prepared a very nice meal. She even cooked tuna for both of them. She cut the fish in half, and each of them ate their portions. Sometime later, Maria paled and lost consciousness. She was taken to a hospital. It was bad food poisoning. Several days later, police arrested Melanie for trying to poison Maria. But how did she do it? The women ate the same dishes. The poison was on one side of the knife Melanie used to cut the fish. This way, only the piece of tuna she gave Maria was poisoned. 5 costs $25 and 25 $50. If you buy 255, you'll pay $75. What is it that you buy, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and one digit costs $25. You are sailing around the world on your yacht when you get caught in a terrible storm. At one point, you hit your head against the mast and lose consciousness. When you come round, you find yourself on a beach, surrounded by unfriendly-looking locals. It turns out that they dislike foreigners. They offer you 3 options. They can send you to a cave filled with tarantulas. They can throw you into a pit filled with yellow scorpions. Or you can meet several hungry lions. What option should you choose to survive? Opt for tarantulas. They are mostly harmless to people. Michelle received a message from the building security that a dangerous criminal had sneaked into the office where she worked. She needed to get out of there as soon as possible. She was running towards the elevators when both of them simultaneously opened their doors. Inside, there were suspicious-looking guys. Which elevator should Michelle opt for? Michelle should run to the second elevator. The criminal has just entered the building. He can't be coming from upstairs. You've been driving for hours, but there's still no sign of civilization. Eventually, you have to admit that you've got lost. You are tired, thirsty, hungry, and have no money to buy anything. Suddenly, on the side of the road, you see 4 doors. Behind the first door, there is plenty of drinking water. The second door hides a lot of tasty food. Behind the third door, there is a cozy hotel room with a comfortable bed. And if you open the fourth door, you'll see piles of cash. Which door will you choose to open first? The first door you should open is the door of your car. In the morning, Paul went out of his house and saw something strange in his garden. There were several pieces of coal, a carrot, and a scarf lying there. There was a fence around Paul's property, so nobody could put those objects there. How did they turn up in the middle of the lawn? It was warm at night, and a snow person that had been standing there melted. Detective Lucas Brown was invited to Long Road College, as more and more thefts occurred there. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked each of them. Thomas said, "I was away on that day. I had to drive my younger sister to her music lesson." Amanda replied, "I spent that day in the library, getting ready for my presentation." Ryan said, "I'm going to Denmark with my parents this summer. That's why I spend all my free time learning Dutch." Lucas immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Ryan. They speak Danish in Denmark. Dutch is the official language of Netherlands. 4 prisoners took up art classes. They studied every Monday. Guards escorted them to the art room and searched the prisoners at the end of every lesson. All the prisoners had their own art supplies, which they kept inside their cells. The question is, which of them has more chances to escape? Your time is over, and the answer is this prisoner. He can use his supplies to paint his clothes green. This way he'll look like a guard and will be able to sneak out of jail. Criminals kidnapped 3 bank workers to get secret financial information from them. The bankers were locked in a basement with only one window high above the floor. The men decided that at least one of them had to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on top still couldn't reach the window. What can they do to escape? The tallest of them should climb on top. And since this man also has longer arms, he will manage to reach the window.
Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular, with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own and sometimes cried in her cell. After watching the video several times, the guard figured out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. There's a file in her bun. She can use it to get through the metal bars. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. So, which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit and it's safe to eat. These 3 women, Jessica, Mary, and Olivia, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant and one is just trying to steal a watermelon. Can you tell which one is hiding a watermelon? It's Olivia. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes a pregnant woman would choose to wear. Nathan, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Jackson, a famous private detective, returned from a long-term trip abroad. They decided to stop by at Nathan's villa on the way to the city. When the men entered the house, though, they saw that everything more or less valuable had been taken away. The entire villa was a mess. "I've only been away for a month. What happened here?" exclaimed Nathan. Jackson took an apple from the dining room table and started to munch on it thoroughly. The lock isn't broken. It means the person who took your stuff had the key. After a while, the detective asked Nathan to invite 3 people. Mia, Nathan's niece, told Jackson she hadn't visited her uncle's home. She had been having serious problems with her car for already 2 months. And the villa was too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Sarah, the maid, claimed that she had stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up, but since then she hadn't been to the villa. Adam, the gardener, told the detective he had been on vacation and had just returned. He even offered to show his plane tickets to Jackson. The detective figured out immediately who was behind the mess. You have 8 seconds to figure it out. It was the maid. She said she brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Jackson grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Once, Ms. White heard someone crying. It was her little student, Abigail. The girl told the teacher her cookies had been disappearing from her locker. Someone had been taking them for already several weeks, but Abigail didn't know who. Ms. White decided to help the girl. They equipped the locker with a simple alarm that had to go off if someone who wasn't Abigail opened the door. They hid behind the corner and began waiting. In 10 minutes, they heard the alarm. When they reached the locker, it was already empty, and there was no one nearby. But Ms. White noticed somebody disappear behind the art room door. She rushed inside, but everything looked normal. And still, the teacher needed no more than a minute to understand who had been eating Abigail's cookies. Look at the picture of the art room carefully. Can you find out the answer within 8 seconds? It's the girl on the left. Her painting's black and white, but there are only various shades of blue on her palette. And maybe the cookie crumbs are a giveaway too. I don't know. One perfume company hires new staff. They must swear an oath of loyalty to the company if they want to get a job. 10 people are saying the words of the corporate oath simultaneously, but some of them are cheating. Help the directors figure out who these people are. This guy keeps his fingers crossed, and the man on the left is standing with his legs crossed. They won't be loyal to the company, so the director doesn't hire them. 2 influential media moguls are having lunch at an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the merger of their companies. The transaction amount is several $billion. They're whispering since the terms of this deal are top secret, and they suspect that someone can hear them. And they're right. Some curious people are eavesdropping on the conversation between the 2 businessmen. Try to find them. The girl at the next table is reading a newspaper that is turned upside down. She's obviously trying to overhear what the billionaires are talking about. This guy over there is listening to music, but the headphone wire is not connected to anything. Another girl is sitting at the table in the corner with a cocktail, but instead of an umbrella, there's an antenna in her glass. She's recording the conversation. "Where are my employees?" a boss shouts. He's furious because 3 people haven't come to the office. He calls each of them to find out the reason. All 3 tell him they got ill. The boss doesn't believe them, so they have to arrive at the office. Mary is wearing a warm jacket, hat, and scarf. She sneezes, coughs, and looks sick. Lori is walking on crutches. Her leg is in a cast. Sometime later, Michael appears. He's got a hand injury, and now he can't type. The boss is sure that one of them is faking. Who is it? Mike's left arm is broken, but his phone is in his left pocket. He must have used his broken arm to put it there, which means he's pretending. Apparently, he just didn't want to come to work. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. Mia was going back home one evening. It was 11 p.m., and she had to cross a small dark park in front of her house. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind. Someone grabbed her bag and ran away. The girl called the police, and they questioned 4 suspects. Jack said, "I was choosing an outfit for a party." Camilla was getting ready for her final exam at home. Andrew told the police he had been watching birds in the park. Nora was at her yoga class. After the interview, the police understood who was behind the robbery. Can you? It was Andrew. At 11 p.m., it's too dark to see birds. James left a folder with important documents on the table in his home office and went to a business meeting. When he returned, he found out that the documents had disappeared. James had 3 suspects. His brother said, "I've been swimming in the pool since you left. I haven't seen or heard anything." The cook replied, "Tomorrow we're having a party. I've been preparing the food." The security guard told James, "I've been outside all this time, checking the garden for mice." Who knows where the documents are? It's the security guard. His job description doesn't include pest control. An accident happened at a busy crossroads in a small town. A driver who caused the crash left in a hurry. Luckily, several witnesses managed to describe the car. A police officer headed to the suspect's house. There, he saw a car that looked exactly like the one from the description, but its owner claimed that he had spent all day at home. The police officer knew the suspect was lying in no time. How? He touched the car hood. It was still hot from the engine that had worked not so long ago. You're walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, you see a speedy train approaching you. Instead of getting off the track immediately, you run toward the train. Why do you risk your life this way? When you notice the train, you're on a bridge. You can't leave the track right away and have to run to the closest place where you can do it.
Nancy and Mike were going to the Carnival of Riddles, which was scheduled to be in their town during the weekend. It was a very popular carnival that was traveling the country, and everybody was so excited. So, when they arrived, they saw a very long line, and it seemed like they had to wait for many hours to be able to get in. But the ticket salesman left his booth and walked in front of the crowd. He said that he was going to give a riddle to everyone. Since this was the Carnival of Riddles, those who could answer correctly would be able to get inside earlier than others. The riddle was this: I am the beginning of eternity. I am the end of time and space. I am the start of every end. I am the end of every place. What am I? The answer is the letter E. Nancy and Mike were so happy that they knew the answer and didn't have to wait to get in. But even though they were able to move in front of the line, they still had to pay for the tickets. But they were so expensive. The salesman offered them another riddle. If they could answer it, he would give them a 50% discount. I have an X number of candy apples. If I count them by 3s, the remainder is 2. If I count them by 5s, the remainder is 3. If I count them by 7s, the remainder is 2. How many candy apples do I have? Mike was kind of a genius, so he knew the answer immediately. Do you? The answer is 23. Nancy and Mike were glad to have been able to save some cash to buy snacks. Nancy wanted to get something sweet for herself and her brother, so they went to the candy booth. They had 3 options to choose from. They could either buy cotton candy, candy cane, or a candy apple. Which one should they pick? Take a closer look at the cotton candy. There's a teeny tiny spider stuck inside. Yikes! And did you notice that little apple worm inside the candy apple? That's never good. So, they should buy the candy cane. Before leaving the candy booth, Mike wanted to get a gumball too. However, when he inserted his coin into the gumball vending machine, he realized that something was strange. Hey! Do you see it too? Look inside the machine carefully. Not everything in there is a gumball. This and that are eggs. How weird is that?
Hey!
After eating their candy, they came upon a tent with a sign that said, "Enter if you want to see real magic." They were intrigued, so they decided to walk in. There were 3 different magicians. The first was holding cards in his hands. Then he made them disappear. The second one also had cards, but he was making them levitate. And the third one put a pen through a card, but the card was unharmed after. Only one of them was capable of real magic, and the others were just doing tricks. Can you tell who? Take a closer look at the first magician's sleeves. You can see a corner of the card. He didn't make them disappear, he just hid them. The second magician's cards are attached to a clear thread. You can notice it from where the sunlight hits. So the third one is the real deal. Mike was a fan of all things scary, so he convinced his sister to take the haunted house ride. As their cart moved inside the dark tunnel, they encountered 3 different monsters along the way. A zombie, a ghost, and a mummy. Little did they know that one of them was a real monster. Can you tell which one? Take a look at the zombie. Its makeup is kind of melting, which means that it must be an actor. As for the mummy, look at his ankle. His skin slightly shows under all that mummy gauze. So he must be a dressed-up actor as well. That makes the ghost the real monster. So creepy. Nancy didn't enjoy the haunted house ride. She wanted her next ride to be something relaxing, so she chose the carousel. Mike decided to skip this one to explore the carnival more. They agreed to meet later. When Nancy arrived at the carousel, she saw that all the horse seats were taken, except 3. But only one of them looked safe to sit on. Which one is that? The second horse mount is cracked. It's not wise to pick that one. And the third horse is slowly moving back and forth even though the carousel is not rotating yet. Its screws must be loose or something. So she should choose the first one. It's the cutest one anyway. As Nancy was enjoying the carousel, Mike decided to check out the Hall of Mirrors. The information board said that only one person was allowed inside. Mike entered and had so much fun enjoying all the funny reflections of himself on the weird mirrors. But then, suddenly, he screamed with fear. Why is that? Take a closer look at the mirror reflections. One of them doesn't belong to Mike, so he is apparently not the only one inside, even though the sign said he would be. Mike was so scared of the unexpected reflection. He ran out of the Hall of Mirrors immediately, but as he did, he tripped on a stone and twisted his ankle. So he decided to visit the first aid tent to get some ice. When he walked in, he saw that the nurse was in panic and in no condition to help him out because there were 3 pregnant women sitting in front of her, all claiming they were going to give birth now. However, Mike noticed that one of them was lying and faking her pregnancy. Can you tell who? Girl number 3 is clearly the liar. Take a look at the ultrasound picture in her hand. It has the first girl's name on it. She must have stolen it from her, so she's only pretending to be pregnant. Once the real pregnant ladies left for the hospital, Mike was able to get some ice for his ankle and went to meet his sister. At that moment, they heard an announcement coming from the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, gather up to see the strongest man alive. Don't believe me? I'm not lying. Here he comes. See him with your own eyes." Nancy and Mike wanted to see who this man was, so they joined the crowd. A muscular-looking man entered the stage. He said,
I will prove to you how strong I am by breaking this thing with my bare hands. But first, you have to guess what it is. Here is my riddle to you. There was a greenhouse. Inside the greenhouse, there was a white house. Inside the white house, there was a red house. Inside the red house, there were lots of little ones.
Nancy knew the answer, so she yelled it out. Can you guess? It's a watermelon, and the strongman was able to break it with his bare hands indeed. So cool! Nancy and Mike were tired, so they decided to call it a day and go home. But before that, they wanted to get a souvenir from the carnival. They picked a beautiful fridge magnet. When they paid for it, the gift shop salesman put 3 cups upside down on the table and placed their money under one of them. He said he would give their money back and the magnet for free if they could guess which cup had their money after he performed his trick. Watch carefully. Nancy knew where the money was immediately. How about you? It's here. You thought it was under this one, right? Watch it in slow motion again. Do you see the salesman putting the money under that one with a quick hand movement? Nancy noticed that. What a fun day.
Now, Rosie and Peter are having a date. Both of them are pathological liars. The waiter asks their ages. Peter says, "I'm definitely not over 30." Rosie replies, "I'm 28 and Peter is at least 5 years older than me." Peter adds, "Nah, Rosie is at least 29. Can you figure out their actual ages?" Since we know that all statements are false, let's assume the opposite. Peter is definitely over 30. Rosie is not 28, and she's at most 4 years older than Peter. And Rosie is at most 28. Now, from the first statement, we can conclude that Peter is at least 31 years old. The second and third statements tell us that Rosie is younger than 28. We also know that the maximum gap between their ages is 4 years. Therefore, Peter is 31 years old and Rosie is 27. Rosie arrives home from her date and makes herself a cup of hot chocolate. Suddenly, a soccer ball crashes through her window and breaks the mug. Rosie looks out the window just in time. She sees 3 neighbors running across the backyard, the Smith brothers. Their names are Miles, Mark, and Mike. The next morning, Rosie finds a note in her mailbox. It says this: "Which one of the Smith brothers should Rosie question?" The note reads, "Smith. Therefore, Rosie should blame Mark." Mark apologizes to Rosie. She replies, "I'm going to forgive you if you crack my riddle. So listen carefully. I came first on earth, but second in heaven. I also come twice a week, but just once in a year. I stay away for months, but you can find me in February. What am I?" Can you help Mark solve this puzzle? The correct answer is the letter E. And for extra credit, will Rosie the liar actually forgive Mark? Someone robbed Rosie's house yesterday. She called the police and they questioned her neighbors. Billy said, "Yesterday I was visiting my parents' house in another state. I just got back." Phil said, "For safety reasons, I had to spend last night in a hotel room. Construction workers urgently repaired my roof during the night. Thankfully, they finished by this morning." Meanwhile, Chuck replied, "Sorry, I was playing video games with my friends, so I didn't notice anything suspicious at all." Who is lying? Phil. The roof reconstruction should have been finished, but it still looks like a mess.
Ooh.
Rosie wants to win a college sports grant, so she trains very hard every day. Take a look at her rivals. Can you predict who's going to win this particular competition? The left runner will be the first to cross the finish line. The right guy's shoelaces came undone. Meanwhile, Rosie, who's running in the middle, put her hand on her stomach because she's struggling with a cramp. That's why her chances of winning are low. The next day, Rosie buys chocolates on the way to the gym. She can't eat them in front of the others because their coach, Tina, asks all runners to stay away from sugar products. So Rosie decides to hide the chocolates in her locker. During the break, she opens her locker and finds out that the chocolates are gone. She questions 4 teammates. Karen says, "I was washing my hair in the shower." Kelly replies, "I was talking to my boyfriend on FaceTime, and he can confirm that." Zoe discussed her skills with Tina during the break, and Nina enjoyed her sugar-free salad. Who's lying? It's Karen. Her hair is dry.
What?
Rosie is walking home from her training late at night. Suddenly, she sees a sad young lady sitting at a bus stop. The lady got wet in the rain, and the buses are no longer running. Rosie feels sorry for her and says, "My home is nearby. Would you like to have a cup of hot tea?" The lady agrees. As soon as they enter her home, Rosie turns the light on. That's when she realizes that her guest is very dangerous. How? The lady's legs are covered with wolf hair. Take a look at the sky. It's a full moon. She will soon turn into a werewolf. Rosie arrives at work, so we can assume she survived the night. Unfortunately, someone locks her in the underground parking. She wanders around for a while and finds 3 ways out, but only one path is safe. Hungry tigers are hiding behind the first door. It's impossible to get through. The second door is guided by a virtual voice assistant reprogrammed to hate people. It threatens to destroy anyone who enters this door. And the third passage is filled with toxic gas that makes all mammals pass out immediately. Which door should Rosie choose? The second one. Those threats are words. At the end of the day, it's just a voice assistant. Rosie discovers an infinite supply of honey, but she only has a 1 5-gallon jar and 1 3-gallon jar. She needs to measure out exactly 4 gallons of honey, taking as few steps as possible. Can you help her out? Yep, this can be done in 6 steps. 1. Fill the 5-gallon jar fully. 2. Now pour the honey from the 5-gallon jar into the 3-gallon jar. After that, you still have 2 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. 3. Now empty the 3-gallon jar. 4. Transfer the 2 gallons of honey into the 3-gallon jar. 5. Fill up the bigger jar again. 6. And finally, transfer 1 gallon from the 5-gallon jar into the smaller jar. This way, we'll end up having 4 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. Rosie goes to a local restaurant. The manager offers her free dinner. But first, she has to solve his tricky riddle. Rosie agrees. Here's the task. You throw me out when you want to use me. And you take me in when you don't want to use me. Who am I? Rosie nails it right away. Can you solve this mystery too? The correct answer is an anchor. Now, Rosie has 26 blue socks, 13 green socks, 33 pink socks, and 12 red socks. She keeps them in her drawer. How many socks would she have to pull out in the dark to make sure she had a matching pair? The correct answer is 5. She only has 4 colors in her collection, so 5 socks will guarantee that 2 of them will be in the same color. Hey, great job. Rosie has 4 siblings: Alex, Sarah, Nina, and Willow. All 5 receive some gifts from their relatives on Christmas Day. Rosie opens 25 gifts, while her brother Alex only 24. Meanwhile, Sarah opens 8 gifts, and Nina only 1 gift. Can you predict how many gifts Willow would open? The last name in Rosie's name is Y. It's the 25th letter of the alphabet. Alex's last letter X is in the 24th place. The last letter in the name Sarah is H. It's the 8th letter of the alphabet, and so on. Similar odd logic also works for Willow. The letter W is 23rd. Therefore, she will open 23 gifts. Now, if I were Sarah, I might complain about only getting 1/3 of the gifts her siblings get. But I'm not. Rosie is looking through her granny's pictures. Suddenly, she gets chills because she noticed a time traveler among these party guys. Can you spot this person too? This picture is from the 70s, but this guy on the left has a modern cell phone in his pocket. He's definitely not from this era. Rosie wants to get into her boyfriend's apartment building to prepare a surprise for his birthday. Unfortunately, she has forgotten the 5-digit code, but she still remembers these 5 clues. The sum of the 5th number and the 3rd number is 14. The 4th number is 1 more than the 2nd. The 1st number is 1 less than twice the 2nd number. The sum of the 2nd number and the 3rd number equal 10. And finally, the sum of all 5 numbers is 30. Can you help her crack the code? The correct code is 74658. Here's some simple math to explain it.
A mad scientist caught Larry and locked him in a small room. There were no windows, and the door was locked. But there was a note on the table. It was from the scientist. JFMAM ... JASOND. Guess the missing letter, and I'll set you free. "10 minutes later, Larry was already running away from the strange place. He managed to figure out that the missing letter was J. Those were the first letters of the months of the year, from January to December. And the 6th letter, J, stood for June. There are 2 villages next to each other. People who always tell the truth live in one of them. Liars live in the other. The inhabitants of the villages often visit each other. You're in one of the villages, but you don't know which one it is. What question should you ask a passerby to find out where you are? Ask them, are you a guest here? If they answer yes, you're in the village of liars. If they say no, you're in the village where honest people live. Brian came to his senses on the floor in his living room. He was unharmed, but couldn't remember a thing. Suddenly, 2 young women entered the house. They looked exactly the same. When they found out what had happened, each of them started to claim that Brian was her husband. Can you help the guy figure out which of the women is his real wife? It's the woman on the left. She has a tattoo on the same arm as the girl in the wedding photo. Megan was 21 on her last birthday, but she's going to be 23 on her next one. How is it possible? It's Megan's 22nd birthday today. Sandra's boyfriend went on a business trip to New York. Soon, the girl got a weird text message from him. It looked like this: NHAPPY. What did Sandra's boyfriend want to say? The message means, unhappy without you. Now how about solving this rebus puzzle? NEA, friended. What can it mean? It's a friend in need. And one more for you. Man, bored. It's man overboard. Great job. Now let's see how attentive you are. Look at this image. Who's not from Earth? Must be the guy on the right. The guy on the left is only wearing a Halloween costume. Look at his hazel eyes. They seem to be absolutely human. And now look at the eyes of the guy on the right. Ugh, creepy. How about this image? Can you spot anyone who doesn't look like us? Earthlings? It's the lady on the left. Have you noticed a couple of extra eyes hiding in her hair? These drivers are about to take part in a race. Which of them is from another planet? That driver over there. He seems to be leaving a trail of slime behind him. Okay, you have a sharp eye. But is it sharp enough to crack the following riddles? A rabbit is hiding somewhere among these mushrooms. Can you spot it? It chose one of the largest mushrooms to hide behind. At first sight, there's nothing unusual here. But what if you examine the picture more attentively? Right, no one uses a soccer ball to play basketball. Mark bought a new keyboard, but the seller fooled the guy and gave him a fake one. Can you find the proof? The keyboard has 2 8s, but no 9s. A dog runs away from its master and is now hiding somewhere among these bowls. Help the worried owner find its pooch. Gotcha! Similar, but not the same. How good are you at math? Let's figure it out. How much will a 50-degree angle measure if you look at it through a microscope that magnifies 5 times? The angle won't change. It'll still be 50 degrees. A man came to a fruit market to sell watermelons. After he sold half of them and half of a watermelon, he saw he had 1 watermelon left. How many watermelons did he bring to the market? He came there with 3 watermelons. There are 100 books on a shelf. To count off 10 of them, you'll need 10 seconds. How much time will you spend counting off 70 books? It'll take you 30 seconds. You'll need this time to count off 30 books, and the rest will make 70. Liza worked as a nurse in a hospital. One day she came to make injections. After these injections, it was prohibited to get up. Liza warned the patients and left. But when she came back, she understood that one of the patients had actually got up while she'd been away. Who was it? And how did she figure it out? It's the guy in the middle. There was a plate with some cookies near his bed. But now, the same plate, but empty, is on the table in the corner. At around 7 p.m., Melissa was walking in the park. Suddenly, she saw a guy lying on the ground. His bike was nearby, in the bushes. Melissa helped him to sit up, and he told her, "I was cycling through the park when someone threw a stone at me. I fell down and blacked out." Melissa had 4 suspects. Hannah said she'd been on a morning run and hadn't seen anything. Ryan said he'd taken his dog for a walk, and they had been in another part of the park. And Michael and Laura said they'd come to have a picnic and had been busy with food. Who is lying? Hannah, it's evening. How could she have her morning run? Detective Robbins was walking along the street when he heard the sound of glass shattering. He saw a large crowd gathering near the broken window of a jewelry store. The detective ran up to the store owner. "Has anything been stolen?" The man said he hadn't understood yet. Suddenly, Robbins rushed away. Why? The store window was broken to distract passersby. Meanwhile, this guy stole a wallet from the man in a suit. At first, the wallet was in the man's pocket. Now, the thief is rushing away, the wallet in his hand. 2 cars, red and black, are moving along the same highway. The red car is traveling at a speed that's twice higher than that of the black car. They both started at the same time, and still, after some time on the road, the 2 cars come across each other. How is it possible? The cars were moving toward each other. Mark was going to an important business meeting, and he was driving quite fast. Unfortunately, the man got into a car accident. Both he and the other driver were okay, but the cars were badly damaged. Mark called the police. When they arrived, Mark explained the situation. "I was driving fast, but I wasn't breaking any rules. Suddenly, a car pulled out in front of me. I didn't have enough time to brake." The other driver exclaimed, "It's your fault! I was driving slowly, talking to my wife about our weekend plans, and then you appeared out of nowhere." The police officers immediately understood who was responsible for the accident. And you? It was the other driver. He was alone in his car. It means he was talking to his wife on the phone, which is illegal. Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note and a pen. Find out how to get 200 out of 188 using just one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew the line to divide 188 horizontally. This way, he got 100 and 100. One afternoon, all cash was stolen from a small cafe on the beach. The police had 4 suspects. All of them claimed they hadn't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them attentively and try to figure out who's the thief. It's the guy with a cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe since it's the only one on the beach. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place?
Let's start with testing your attention to detail a bit. Take a look at 2 friends, Ariana and Brooke. Can you tell which one of them is richer? It must be Ariana. Look, she has an original Louis Vuitton purse. Cameron and Dean went fishing on a lake in the middle of winter. Here are photos of them. Cameron is posing with just a little bit of clothing when it's freezing cold, and Dean is posing with a big fish he caught. Which one of them is less smart? It's Dean. Look, the ice on the lake is cracking. It's dangerous to stay there. Everly and Jasmine are in a hurry to get to work. They're running late. Everly is going her usual way, and Jasmine has taken a shortcut. Which one of them is in danger? Jasmine, look, she's walking close to some buildings. There are icicles hanging there. It's very dangerous to walk under them. Noelle and Nash are walking outside. Which one of them is in danger? It's Noelle. Even though Nash is blind, he has a stick and he'll know that there is a hole. Noelle might not notice this because she's too focused on her phone. For her wedding anniversary, Charlotte received a diamond necklace. Next evening, she was having dinner with her friends and showed the necklace to them. She let them look at it and left for the bathroom. When she returned, the necklace wasn't there. Her friends told her that she had taken it with her. Take a look at the pictures before and after and tell where the necklace is. Look at the glass of juice of this woman. Seems like there's more juice in the second picture, but it's not true. She just put the diamond necklace in the glass and the juice level rose. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She came across a witch's house and asked her to take her home. The witch agreed on one condition. There were 3 cards. 2 of them said stay and 1 of them stated free. They were facing down and Esme didn't know which one was where. If she picked the free one, she would go home. Otherwise, she'd have to stay with the witch. There was a hint. 1 stay card wasn't in the middle. The second stay card wasn't next to the other one. Which one should Esme pick? If 1 stay isn't in the middle, it's either on the left or on the right. Otherwise, if the other one can't be next to it, then it's definitely not in the middle, but on the other side. So, Esme should pick the middle card. It must be the free pass. Ava needed to sneak into her mom's computer to delete an email she had accidentally forwarded to her, but the account required a password she didn't know. Luckily, there was a hint, and here's what it said. What do you think the password is? The second number is the number you get if you multiply the digits the first one consists of. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 8 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. Similarly, 4 times 9 is 36. And 7 times 8 is 56. So, the password must be 3656. Gianna owns a factory producing cars. 3 workers can assemble 3 cars in 3 days. How many cars can 1 worker assemble in 1 day? If 3 workers assemble 3 cars in 3 days, then 1 worker assembles 1 car in 3 days. So, in 1 day, a worker assembles 1/3 of a car. Eloise woke up in a dark dungeon with only some torches lighting it up. There was a door, but it was locked. There was a panel with buttons of different colors and a plate with the word GROW written on it. How can Eloise get out? The word is the hint, and the letter it consists of are the first letters of the colors of the buttons Eloise has to press, in respective order, which are green for G, red for R, orange for O, and white for W. Miel likes everything to be in perfect order. Her room is very organized, and even her collection of numbered marbles is sorted into 3 boxes. In the first box, there are marbles with numbers 1, 2, and 7. In the second box, there are marbles numbered 1, 4, and 5. 2 marbles in the last box have numbers 6 and 3 on them. What's the number on the last marble in the last box? The sum of numbers on marbles in each box is 10, so the number on the last marble should be 1. Ashley arrived on a remote Greek island to spend her getaway vacation alone. All the locals there tell the truth and all the tourists always lie. 2 girls approached her, and one of them said, "Hey, I'm Paige. I'm a tourist here. And this is Sophia. She's from here." Can you tell if either of the girls is a local or a tourist? Since locals always tell the truth, a local would never call themselves a tourist. So, Paige must be a tourist, which means that she's lying about Sophia being a local. So, Sophia is a tourist too. Calliope is a queen of a remote island country that no one has ever heard of and that isn't on any maps. She wanted to make sure that there are more girls being born in her country, so she passed a new law. Every family should give birth to their descendants until they have a daughter. After they have a daughter, they can't have any more descendants. With this law, what will be the ratio of men and women in the country after many years and generations pass? With every birth, there's a 50-50 chance of having a boy or a girl. So it doesn't matter how many are born in any family, the ratio will always stay more or less 1 to 1. This law will only ensure that there's at least one girl in every family. Hannah found her old necklace, which is now broken into 5 short chains, having 4 gold links each. She took it to a jeweler, asking him to fix it. The jeweler said the cost of repairing it is $10 for every link he needs to open and reseal. So, since he will break a link in each chain, it will cost $50 to repair it. Is there a better way to do it that will cost Hannah less money? A more efficient way is to break the 4 links in one of the pieces and use each to seal the remaining 4 chain pieces with them. This way, it will only cost Hannah $40 to repair it. Okay, now let's take a little break and have fun. I'll show you some emojis, and your task is to guess which movie they describe. Here's the first set for you. What do you think? Yes, that's The Lion King, of course. Nothing hard. Here's the next one. Any ideas? Beauty and the Beast, another Disney classic. This one is my personal favorite. Have you seen it? It's Up, a must-watch animated movie. Let's try something newer. Can you recognize this one? This is Encanto. Moving on from the animation a bit, what is this movie? I bet you know it. It's Alvin and the Chipmunks, a movie about singing chipmunks. Any ideas here? It's another one about talking animals. Stuart Little, of course. Okay, do you think you can get this one right? Give it a try. Night at the Museum, correct. This one is a great movie. I bet you know it well. Of course, it's everyone's favorite, How to Train Your Dragon. Here's the next one for you to guess. What's your call? That's Shrek. Okay, last movie for today. You should get it right. Secret Life of Pets.
Let's dive right in, shall we? Jane, Emma, and Carla are working out in a gym. One of them isn't being careful enough. Who is it? It's Carla. Look, she's doing exercises while chewing gum. She could accidentally choke on it. Look at Matt and Olivia. They're both cooking dinner. Matt is using a stove and Olivia is using a grill outside. Which of them is doing something wrong? It's Matt. He forgot to turn the stove on. Noor was a married man, and his wife had a twin sister. One day, the twins decided to trick him. They both pretended to be his wife to see if he'd find the right person. Unfortunately, Noor got way too confused. Can you find his real wife? Look at the wedding picture of Noor and his wife. She has a tattoo on her right arm, so his wife must be the woman on the left who also has a tattoo on her right arm. Willem and Sean were caught by the police close to the graffiti that had just appeared on a building. One of them painted it, but both denied doing anything. Who do you think is lying? It was Willem. Look, there's some paint on her hands and shirt. Drake and Thor are both on vacation. Drake is skiing in the mountains with his girlfriend, and Thor is surfing with his best friend. Look at them now. Which one of them is in danger? Drake! He's screaming in the mountains. It's not safe because it can cause an avalanche. Now, let's find some pet owners. For example, look at these three girls. Can you figure out who the cat belongs to? Its owner is the girl on the right. Look at her legs and hands. She has some scratches, very typical for cat owners. Now, there are three people sitting in the park. See that dog playing there? Who does it belong to? To the guy in the middle. Look, he has a leash. These guys, Ian, Noah, and Luke, are basketball players. They're getting ready for the game in the changing room. Which of them is Noah? It must be this guy, the one who's not wearing shoes. Look, his shoes are in the locker with the name tag Noah. Esme was walking in the forest and got lost. She had been wandering for hours until she came across a witch's house. The witch was busy with a new spell and had a riddle for Esme. If the girl managed to solve it, the witch would let her go. If Esme failed, she'd have to stay with the witch forever. So the witch had 6 test tubes. The first 3 were empty and the last 3 were full. For the spell, full and empty tubes had to alternate. Esme had to solve this problem, but she could only touch one tube. How can she do it? Esme should take the 5th tube and pour the liquid from it into the second one. A bank was robbed on a Friday evening. There were no customers and no signs of a break-in, which meant it was one of the bank employees. The robbery was discovered by the bank director, Mr. Perry. There were 3 main suspects, Miss Cott, Mr. Mendez, and Miss Morgan. All of them denied being anywhere close to the safe, but one of them lied. Who was it? Pay attention to the footprints. These must belong to Mr. Perry, but there's another pair which must be heels. Mr. Mendez is wearing sneakers and Miss Morgan is wearing flats. Miss Cott is the only one wearing heels. The footprints are likely to be hers, so she lied. Mrs. Nichols has 4 daughters and a son. The oldest daughter's name is April. She's an artist. The second daughter is December. She's into sports. Her third daughter is August, and she's keen on cooking. May is the fourth one, and she likes reading. Their brother Adam is the youngest in the family. How is his name connected to his sisters? The first letters of the girls' names make up the name Adam. Another family riddle for you. Ava is Bella's sister, Bella is Ella's sister, and Ella is Ruby's mother. Who is Ruby for Ava? If Ava is Bella's sister and Bella is Ella's sister, it seems like the 3 of them are sisters. Since Ruby is Ella's daughter, then both Ava and Bella are Ruby's aunts. So Ruby is Ava's niece. Take a look at these friends at the beach. Which of them is a robot? It must be this girl. Look, it's very hot outside and everyone is sweating, except her. That's kind of odd. The police also broke into 3 apartments. In one of them, a robot lives. Can you guess where? Look, there's a lot of machine oil in the bathroom. I'll bet it belongs to the robot. What about this photo? Can you spot a robot here? It's summer and everyone is wearing shorts and tops, except for this guy. He's wearing long pants, a long-sleeve shirt, and even gloves. He must be hiding his body. I'd say it's him. Here's a photo of people sitting in a cafe. Can you spot a robot here? It must be this lady, since she's not drinking or eating anything. Guess why? Well, robots can't eat human food, obviously. Another peek into some people's houses. One room belongs to a robot, but which one? It must be this one. Look, there's a whole bunch of bolts and spare parts in the wardrobe. Have a look at this group of friends. Can you tell which of them is a robot? It must be this guy. There's some steam and sparks coming from it. Perhaps it's a robot that needs some renovations. Aiko has won a game show, and she can finally get her prize. But there's a catch, one last task. There are 3 boxes, and she can pick one to take with her. One box is filled with $100 bills, another box contains 5-cent coins, and the last box has both bills and coins. The boxes look exactly the same, and the girl can't touch any of them. The boxes have labels. Bills on the left one, coins in the middle one, and bills and coins on the right one. All the boxes are labeled wrong. Aiko can't look inside any of the boxes, but she can ask for one sample from any box. What should Aiko's strategy be to identify the box filled with bills only? Since all the boxes are labeled wrong, Eiko should ask for a sample from the bills and coins box. If there's a bill there, then that's the one she needs. She should simply take it. If there's a coin, then it's the box with coins. In that case, the remaining boxes contain bills and bills with coins. And since the labels are incorrect, the one with bills is the one marked with the label coins. The day that is tomorrow for the day after tomorrow is as far away from Wednesday as the day that is yesterday for the day before yesterday. So, what day is it today? The tomorrow for the day after tomorrow and the yesterday for the day before yesterday are exactly 3 days away from today. If they're equally far away from Wednesday, then today is Wednesday. Meadow loved animals and she decided to get some frogs. She talked to her mom about it and they made a decision. Only one of these 3 statements is correct. 1. Meadow got at least 1 frog. 2. Meadow got at least 5 frogs. 3. Meadow got fewer than 5 frogs. How many frogs did Meadow get? So, only one statement is correct. If it's the first one, then the other 2 must be wrong. In this case, she can't get 5 or more frogs, so it doesn't work. If the second statement is correct, then she has at least 5 frogs. But then the first statement is automatically correct too. Let's say the third statement is correct, so she got fewer than 5 frogs. Automatically, the second statement is wrong. But for the first statement to be wrong too, she should have got fewer than 1 frog. So it seems that, after talking to her mom, Meadow got 0 frogs. Maybe instead, her mom got her a dog, which would at least rhyme.
Welcome to the food festival. Here's Alice. She sells cold drinks. Alice allows her customers to buy 1 bottle of drink in exchange for 5 empty bottles. Phil brings her 77 empty bottles that he collected at yesterday's party. How many bottles do you think he can get in exchange for those 77 empty bottles? Bill can get a total of 19 new bottles. First, he returns 75 empty bottles to Alice and gets 15 bottles. At this point, he'll still remain with 2 empty bottles. When the new 15 bottles of drinks get empty, he can return them as well. This way, he will get 3 more bottles, and after finishing them, he'll still have a chance to get 1 more bottle because he has 2 bottles in stock. Bobby is selling fancy ice cream at a huge discount. That's why he has a rule: only 1 ice cream per customer. Bobby has only 2 flavors left: vanilla for €1 and cherry for €2. Lisa comes over and gives Bobby €2. Without asking any questions, Bobby gives her cherry ice cream. Next, Amy gives him €2, but this time, Bobby asks, cherry or vanilla? Why? Lisa bought a couple of €1 coins. This indicates that she wanted to buy cherry flavor. If she needed vanilla ice cream, she would have paid just €1. Meanwhile, Amy put only 1 single €2 coin. That's why Bobby couldn't guess how many ice creams she wanted. Jerry is selling sandwiches. There are 4 available flavors, but only one of them is safe to eat. Can you spot which one? There's a cute little worm inside the first sandwich. The third one has a Lego detail inside its topping. And there are too many flies around the 4th sandwich, so it's probably rotten. But the second sandwich looks pretty good. The police arrested these 3 ladies suspected of stealing money at the festival. Take a look at them very attentively. Can you spot the one who intends to escape? The second lady is holding a file under her headscarf. She's probably the one who plans to escape. The food festival hosts a legendary pastry competition every year. Its 14th and 16th champions have the same father, and their mother is also the same. Both champions were born on the same day and time, but they are not twins. None of them were adopted, and both are females. How is that possible? They are the same person. And now let's see if you can make a good food critic. Can you spot anything weird about these cakes? This one is mirrored. How about these delicious cakes? Can you see any odd details? This cake lacks one cherry. Bill and Wendy are having their first date at the food festival. They buy delicious fresh papaya, and they take a seat in the food court to enjoy it. The papaya tastes sweet and delicious. Each of them eats 2 pieces. 10 minutes later, Bill gets sick. Wendy takes him to the hospital. Doctors claim that the papaya was poisoned. Bill and Wendy ate the same food and also drank the same drinks. How is it possible that Wendy feels well? The poison was in the seeds. Wendy threw them away, while Bill ate them all. Alex is observing a sitting lady, but he can't sit at her place if she stands up and leaves. Where is she sitting? The lady is sitting on his lap. Let's move on to the pizza shop. Can you solve this tricky sequence? Every segment in the new circle moves 90 degrees clockwise, so the third answer is correct. There are 3 odd things about this coffee shop. Can you spot them? The barista has 2 left hands. The reflection in this mirror shows everything upside down. And finally, this customer doesn't have a shadow. Miss White is the key investor of the festival. In the evening, one of the guests finds her unconscious in the backyard of the festival location. Detective Jones arrives at the crime scene and questions 5 of Miss White's co-workers: Bobby, James, Sally, Sam, and Sebastian. He also looks around and finds 3 notes. The first note is in the storeroom. The second one is in the art lounge, and the third in the makeup room. All the notes have a similar message. The clues are where you find the notes. Can you help Detective Jones solve this mystery? Sam is the criminal. Let's take a look at the rooms. If we take only the first letter of each room, we'll get S, A, and M. Arrange the letters and we'll have the name Sam. Diana buys a chocolate cake and leaves it on the table in the food court to go buy some drinks. Then she comes back and sees that the cake is gone. She questions 3 people standing nearby. Henry says, "I didn't do it. I'm on a sugar-free diet." Miss Green replies, "I'm allergic, young lady. I haven't been eating chocolate for 30 years now." And Kelly says, "I'm sorry, but when I came over, this table was empty, so I occupied it. I didn't see any cakes." Who's lying? Miss Green lied about her allergy. She's drinking hot chocolate at this very moment. This evening, Mike plans to go to the movies with his friends, Mia, Dan, and Crystal. He buys a huge box of popcorn at the festival. Then, Mike puts it on the table and tells everyone.
The film is about to start in 15 minutes. I have the time to go to the bathroom. Wait here and don't eat the popcorn until the movie starts.
In a couple of minutes, Mike comes back and sees that the popcorn box is half empty. Mia says, "It was Crystal." Dan replies, "She's lying." And Crystal says, "Dan is lying." Can you figure out who ate the popcorn? Dan. He's the only one who has popcorn crumbs on his cheek. Meanwhile, Jennifer is drinking her tea alone on the opposite side of the food court. Suddenly, she gets a business call and goes outside to answer, leaving her glass on the table. A minute later, Jennifer comes back and gets very upset. Someone drank all the tea from her glass. There are 3 people standing next to the table. Can you figure out who's guilty? This woman in the middle, she left a mark of her purple lipstick on the cup. Can you spot a left-handed person among these 5 people? It's the barista. She's holding a tray with her right hand in a static position. Meanwhile, she's serving the drinks with her left hand, so she's most likely the left-handed person. Marta is making a fruit drink. The recipe comprises 90% of liquid and 10% of solid fruit mix. The total weight of the mixture is 20 pounds. After boiling the drink for a while, Marta notices that the liquid starts to evaporate. Now, the liquid comprises just 50% of the total weight. What's the weight of the drink now? Initially, the liquid occupied 90% of the overall mix, which is 18 pounds. And the weight of the solid was 2 pounds. Earlier, the solid contributed 10%, and now it's contributing 50% of the overall weight, but its weight is still 2 pounds. Therefore, since the liquid is now contributing 50%, its weight should also be 2 pounds. So the overall weight of Marta's fruit drink is 4 pounds. Diana, Frank, and Quentin cook pasta. They start boiling water in 3 identical pots at the same time, but Frank's water gets boiled first. Can you figure out why? He's the only one who closed the lid. And finally, let's take a look inside the food warehouse. Do you see anything weird? The cabbage has eyes.
These 3 handsome young men are brothers, identical triplets. Sam, he's very honest, and he always tells the truth. Bob always lies, and Alex is unpredictable. Sometimes he lies, but sometimes he tells the truth. Amy is the brothers' old friend. She visited them after many years, and she could barely recognize who was who. Amy asked the guy who was sitting on the left, "Which brother is sitting in the middle?" The answer was, "Oh, that's Sam." Amy then asked the brother in the middle, "What's your name?" And the reply was, "I'm Alex." Then Amy turned to the brother on the right and asked, "Who's that guy in the middle?" The brother replied, "It's Bob." Those answers confused Amy because she had asked the same question 3 times and received 3 different answers. Can you help her figure out who is who? Sam always tells the truth, so the brother on the left cannot be Sam because, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to call someone else by his name. The brother in the middle cannot be Sam for the same reason, so the brother on the right must be Sam. And since we know he always tells the truth, the guy in the middle is Bob, and the brother on the left is Alex. Both Bob and Alex lied to Amy. No wonder she hasn't seen them in years. Daniel lent $100 to Alex, one of the three triplets. Sometime later, Daniel wanted to get his money back. One morning, he meets one of the triplets not far from his house. Daniel can ask him a 3-word question. Sam always tells the truth, while Bob and Alex always lie. What question should Daniel ask? The right question would be, "Are you Bob?" Here's the list of possible replies the guy can give. If it's Sam, he'll say no. If it's Bob, he'll also say no. And if it's Alex, his reply will be yes. That's why, if Daniel hears yes, he can ask for his money. Sam, Bob, and Alex bought some chocolate candies. Sam gave Bob and Alex as many candies as they already had. Then Bob gave Sam and Alex as many candies as they already had. And finally, Alex gave Bob and Sam as many chocolates as they already had. Now, each of the brothers has 24 candies. How many chocolates did they have in the beginning? At first, Sam had 39 candies, Bob had 21, and Alex had 12. You can solve the riddle this way. Have a look. Bob leaves home and turns right 3 times. He wants to return home, but he's scared of Sam, who's wearing a mask. What's going on here? The guys are playing baseball. Sam wants to cross the Sahara Desert. This risky journey will take 6 days. But unfortunately, one man can only carry enough food and water for 4 days. Can you calculate the smallest number of other people that will need to help Sam carry enough food across the desert? Two people. Let's suppose that Sam's brothers, Alex and Bob, agree to help him out. Never mind that Bob always lies. By the end of the first day, they'll have enough food for 9 days, 4 plus 4 plus 1. Now Alex can head back home with a 1-day food package. Meanwhile, Sam and Bob can continue their journey with an 8-day package. By the end of the second day, the total food supply will reduce to 6 food packages. Now Bob can grab enough food for 2 days and go home. At this point, Sam will still have a 4-day food package to fulfill his dream. Sam met a genie in the middle of the desert. The genie said, "Hi, I'm Leo. If you solve my riddle, I'm going to fulfill your wishes. But if you fail, you'll serve me till the end of infinity. Deal?" Well, Sam agreed. Here's the riddle. It's not alive, but it grows. It doesn't have lungs, but it needs air. It can't be washed, but it's never dirty. What is it? Can you figure it out? The correct answer is fire. First of all, Sam asked the genie for some cash. 9 rare and priceless gold coins appeared in front of the guy. Leo gave Sam balance scales and said, "These coins look absolutely identical, but one of them is fake. The fake coin is lighter than the rest. What's the smallest number of weightings you'll need to find the fake coin?" The correct answer is 2. First, Sam should divide the coins into 3 equal piles. Then he should place a pile on each side of the scales, leaving the remaining pile of 3 coins on the ground. If the scales remain balanced, it means that the 6 coins on the scale are real and the fake coin is in the 3rd pile. But if the scales do tip, Sam will easily find out which pile contains the fake coin. Spoiler, the pile which is lighter. Either way, he should put 6 gold coins aside and leave only the lightest pile. Then he can use the same method to find the 3rd coin, by putting 1 coin on each side of the scales and leaving the 3rd one in his hand. Sam was hungry, so he had one more wish, to have dinner. Leo began frying some fish in a pan that could only fit 2 fish at once. It takes 5 minutes to fry one side of a fish. What's the shortest time Leo needs to fry 3 fish in one pan? "15 minutes. Leo should put 2 fish in the pan and fry them for 5 minutes. Then he should take one fish out and then turn the other one over. After that, Leo should start frying the third fish. He should fry both fish for 5 minutes. The first fish will be ready, so he should put it away on a plate while turning the other over. Now, he should put the half-fried fish back in the pan and fry 2 fish for 5 more minutes. Voila! All 3 fish are now ready." Sam left the desert and decided to stay in this little village to get some rest. He wanted to get a haircut and a shave after his long journey. There were only 2 barber shops in this village. In the first shop, the barber was handsome with a neat haircut. He was well dressed, and the place looked tidy and clean. Meanwhile, the barber from the second shop was shabbily dressed. His hair was cut in a weird way, and his clothes had stains from last night's dinner. His place didn't look clean at all. Which barber shop should Sam go to, and why? Since there are only 2 barbers in the village, it's obvious that the tidy barber must have his hair done by the other, and the second barber must have used the services of the first man. Therefore, Sam should choose the barber from the second shop because he's more professional. 2 business partners, Rick and Frank, met in a restaurant. It was a hot summer day, so they ordered cold mint tea with ice. Rick gulped down 5 glasses of this drink during lunch. Meanwhile, Frank managed to drink only 1 glass. Soon after that, Frank fainted and fell to the floor. Doctors diagnosed severe poisoning, but Rick was feeling completely fine. The police found out that both glasses contained poison. How did Rick, who had drunk 5 glasses of this tea, avoid any consequences? Rick survived because the poison was in the ice cubes. He drank quickly, and the ice had no time to melt in his drink. As for Frank, he drank his tea slowly, and the ice melted in his drink to poison it heavily. You pronounce me as 1, but write me as 3. You can't read this riddle without me. What am I? The correct answer is I. Bob bought a parrot from a pet shop and put it in a beautiful silver cage. The seller warned Bob that this parrot could give birth every 2 months, and it can deliver up to 5 babies at a time. How many parrots will Bob have in a year? Just 1, because he only bought 1 bird, not 2. I'm always trapped in my glass cage. I'm usually found at the bottom of the cage. If I climb higher, I get hotter. If I climb down, I get cooler. What am I? The correct answer is a thermometer. A father is locked up in jail. His wife has gone bankrupt. Their son has to sell his hotel in order to gain some money. Yet their daughter doesn't care and is happy. How can someone be so heartless? The family is playing Monopoly, and the daughter is winning the game. We've arranged 10 coins on a table this way. Altogether, they form a triangle pointing upward. Can you invert the position of the triangle and make it point downward while moving only 3 coins? Here's the easiest way to do it. Just move these coins as shown. I'm always ahead of you, yet you can never see me. What am I? Tomorrow. Can you spot your name in this alphabet soup? Oh, there it is. Rosie and Melanie are having an argument. Rosie yells, "I'm part of this club, let me in!" And Melanie replies, "Leave right now, you're not a member of our club." Can you figure out who's lying by just looking at this picture? Both ladies have club tattoos, but Melanie's tattoo is slightly different from the club's logo. Therefore, her membership must be fake.
Betty is a famous artist and blogger with more than 1 million subscribers. She has recently hired an agent to sell her works. The agent created an online shop with Betty's exclusive paintings. One day, Betty woke up and saw that most of her followers recently unsubscribed. Can you guess what happened? Take a look at the items in Betty's shop. Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, not Betty. The agent tried to sell fake art through her shop. The next day, Betty visited her favorite cafe. She made an order and went to the ladies' room to wash her hands. She found this beautiful ancient necklace. 3 people approached her to claim the jewelry. Helen said, "This piece belonged to my grandmother. Emeralds fit our green eyes perfectly. Give it back." Fiona said, "My necklace used to have a weak lock. It must have been broken when I was combing my hair." Julia said, "Hey, it's mine. I lost this necklace in the ladies' room." Who should Betty give the necklace to? Helen mentioned emeralds, but the stones are red, not green. Julia was so sure that she'd lost the necklace in the toilet, so why wouldn't she go pick it up herself? Fiona was the only one who knew about the weak chain lock, so she's the real owner. Betty returned to her table. She noticed that someone had taken a bite out of her bagel. Betty was shocked and questioned other customers. Derek said, "Lady, I'm a billionaire. I don't need to steal other people's food." Zach said, "I'm allergic to gluten. I don't eat any pastries." Sheila said, "I saw a weird hungry guy running around the cafe and asking for money. He must have bitten your bagel." Who's lying? Zach. If he doesn't eat any pastries, why did he order pancakes? Fiona wanted to thank Betty for the necklace, so she bought her lunch. The women sat down together and began to talk. Betty asked Fiona about her job. Instead of answering, Fiona showed her family tree. Can you help Betty figure this out? Fiona is a witch, her brother is a policeman, their dad is a doctor, and their mother is a football player. Betty got very excited. She begged Fiona to teach her magic crafts. But Fiona hesitated. She wanted to test her potential student and offered Betty to solve this equation first. Can you help her nail this task? Many people fail to solve this equation because they don't pay attention to details. In this puzzle, every emoji, including the witch, wand, and the broom, symbolize different values. Before calculating the equation, let's find out the value of single things. First, calculate the value of one witch. It's 15. Now let's figure out the value of one wand. As you can see, it equals 7. And now, let's do the same thing to the brooms. This task is tricky because there are 4 brooms in this equation. So, if 4 brooms are worth 12, then 1 broom will cost 3. Now let's take a look at the final line. The witch doesn't carry around any broom or wand. Therefore, the value of an empty-handed witch is 5. And now, we're ready to solve the equation. And the correct answer is 73. Great job! Betty gave the right answer, and Fiona took her home. There's a beautiful garden maze on Fiona's land. She teleported Betty to the center of the maze and gave her this map. Betty must find a black cat. Otherwise, she's gonna stay in this trap forever. Can you help Betty out? Here's the way. Betty wanted to run back to the castle as soon as possible. Suddenly, a creepy zombie started chasing her. It looked hungry. Betty was running away and noticed 3 paths. The first path was covered by poisonous acid, the second path by bugs and maggots, and the third path by thorn bushes. Which way should Betty choose? Betty should choose the second path. Bugs and maggots are gross, but they're harmless. Fiona asked Betty to serve dinner for a witch party in her castle. Can you count how many witches have arrived at this event? There are 13 witches in this picture. This one is not a witch, it's a garden scarecrow. Betty needed to go to the store to buy some ingredients for dinner. She began to write them down. Milk, lemon juice, eggs, butter, oranges, baking soda, cashews, and vinegar. What was Betty making? Have you guessed? Betty was making a shopping list. Betty served the witches the first meal. Can you guess what exactly? The correct answer is onion rings. Here's a second serving. Can you guess it? It's blueberry. What about this dish? What do you say? It's popcorn. Here's the next one. Did you get it right? It's a strawberry milkshake. Fiona asked Betty to bring dried flowers to cook a love potion. Fiona stores all ingredients in her warehouse, but as soon as Betty entered the warehouse, the door locked behind her back. Betty searched this area and found some old furniture and an antique mirror. Suddenly, she noticed 3 doors, but there was a dangerous monster behind each door. The first monster can turn any living being into stone. The second one is very angry and strong. And the third monster has venomous teeth. Can you help Betty choose the right door? Betty should open the first door and show the mirror to the monster so that it would turn into stone. Then she can escape through the first door. Betty took her phone and ran into the forest. It was pretty dark and scary. Betty stepped on a wasp's nest. Wasps were everywhere. What should Betty do? Wave her arms to scare the wasps? Run away as fast as she can? Or walk away slowly? What do you think? The safest choice is to walk slowly. Waving hands and running is too dangerous. The wasps will get angry and sting her. Betty has returned to the party, but when she saw the crowd of witches by the fire, she got scared and ran away. Why? This lady by the fire is a ghost. See, she doesn't have any feet and levitates. Betty decided to hide in the castle. She wanted to call the police, but she couldn't find her phone. Betty questioned 3 witches. Georgina said,
How dare you? I use telepathy. Phones and gadgets are for losers.
Lillian said,
I was outdoors singing with other witches. I didn't see or hear anything weird.
and Nina said,
I don't need to steal honey. I can manifest any amount of money anytime.
Who's lying? Georgina, take a look at her ears. She's wearing earphones. But she said she didn't use any gadgets. Fiona got very angry when she found out that Betty had interrogated her dearest friends. Betty apologized. Fiona said, Okay, I'll let you stay, but you must answer 3 questions. Here's the first one. I've been here for 1,000,000 years, but I'm never more than a month old. What am I? Have you guessed it? The correct answer is the moon. Here's Fiona's second question. I build castles and I tear down mountains. I make some people blind, but I help others see. What am I? The correct answer is sand. And the third question is, I can be long or I can be short. I can be bought or I can be grown. I can be painted or I can be bare. I can be round or I can be square. What am I? And the answer is fingernails. The party was still on. Fiona went upstairs to change her dress. In 5 minutes, Betty heard a scream from Fiona's bedroom and found her unconscious on the floor. Betty asked one question to 4 suspects. What have you been doing for the last 5 minutes? Jenny was roasting marshmallows by the fire. Gemma said, I've spent the last 30 minutes in the pool. Sarah said, My frog Fluffy ran away to the garden. I've been looking everywhere. But unfortunately, I couldn't find it. And Nancy was flying on her broom around the house and filming the party on her phone. Who's lying? Sarah. Her frog is sitting in her pocket. Suddenly, someone turned the lights off. Betty woke up in jail. She found this clue on the floor. It said, Explain this code and you'll be free. Can you help Betty? Here's the answer. Betty was running through Fiona's basement and noticed 2 more prisoners. She figured out that one of them was planning to escape. Can you guess who? The first prisoner. There's a hole behind the toilet that he started digging. Betty got out of Fiona's castle and ran away through the forest. Can you tell what's wrong with the forest? Look at the trees. They all cast shadows, but the big oak tree's shadow is in the wrong direction. Austin throws a party at his parents' house. The next morning, he finds out that someone had robbed him. The thief took all the money and jewelry from the safe locker. Austin video calls 4 of his best friends and says, Someone robbed my house yesterday. Do you have any suspects? Mary says, I'm sorry, but I can't believe it was one of the guests. Julie says, I spent all evening downstairs. I didn't even come close to your parents' safe. So I didn't notice anything suspicious. Bob says, No way! Every single guest at the party is pretty wealthy. Maybe it's the pizza guy. And Rick replies, Papa Mary showed up with a stranger looking like a criminal. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's the thief. Can you guess who's the robber?